Hello and welcome back. I hope you are well and happy almost spring. I think the spring equinox is in a couple of days and I can definitely tell. So I am just in a very springy mood and I am also in a spring cleaning mood. I thought that today we could do a little digital spring cleaning together and more specifically go through my Ravelry and tidy it up. It needs a good tidy and cleaning. It is a mess. I do not think I have actually sat down and organized my Ravelry ever, and I think today is the day. It is time to clean it up and actually use Ravelry for what it's meant to be used for. So I want to go through my queue. That is something that I have not looked at in a very long time. I used to just add things to my queue willy-nilly, not like totally getting what it was. I didn't really get the difference between like favorites and queue when I first started Ravelry, so we've got a lot on there that I have no clue what it is. And then I also want to organize all of my tools. They have a tool section that I would really like to utilize better. I have a ton of random needles and crochet hooks that could be organized. And if we have time, I would love to go through my stash and just make sure what I have in person matches what I've got going on online. On Ravelry, that pictures are updated, quantities, etc. I may not have time for that in this video, so that may be a different video, but so I hope you have a cozy drink. I've got some coffee here, maybe a project you're working on, or maybe open up your Ravelry and organize yours with me, because this is definitely a task I've been putting off, and maybe you have too, or maybe you haven't, and maybe you're really good at Ravelry, and if you are, I would love some tips because it gets disastrous real quickly for me. So anyways, I'm going to go grab my laptop and my bag of knitting needles so we can get started. So here we are on my Ravelry projects page. It's like the first one in the notebook when you open it up, and I think for the most part this is updated. I think I could definitely add some photos for this scrunchie, which is actually finished. So I'm just going to put edit, whoopsie, finished. And I don't actually think I have a picture of that. So that is one to make a note of, to take a picture of. My toffee sweater is a whip. It is much further than 10% now. I'm gonna say like 35%. I can also add a photo of that. I will do that later. And then my Michaela sweater, Sabai top, and Ivy top. So my Michaela sweater, I am maybe 20% of the way through. I can definitely take a photo of that and upload it later. My Sabai top, I have finished it. I don't have any finished item photos for this, so that is something I think I would like to do, although this is a project I am considering frogging. So I'm gonna add this as a note actually. I don't know, I have some issues with this top. I think mainly the yarn. I just don't like this yarn color on me. So something to consider. And then the Ivy top, I actually have it right here next to me. I will be taking photos of this and I will update that probably later today. And what else? I think otherwise I'm pretty happy with how my project page looks. My Sophie scarf too, I could definitely do a finished object photo for, but otherwise I think it's all good. My IVT I haven't started yet, but I do have it all together. So that's kind of like a whip that's about to start, so I won't take any photos for that. But I think my project page is actually generally in a good place. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, just a few little things to tick off and to do later. But I think overall project page feels good, not chaotic. I don't have like 19 projects that I like started for a second and then stopped. So good job me for managing my project page well. My queue. I am so scared to show you this. It is, I'm guessing, a disaster. Let's see, how many items do I have on here? Okay, 53. Not as horrible as, I don't even know, why is this? This is just yarn. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. Okay, back to this front. I'm gonna talk about my queue for a second. So the queue is something when I first got Ravelry that I didn't quite get the difference between like projects, queue, and favorites. I was really confused about it. So I would add patterns that I wanted to make to my queue, and then random patterns that like I liked but didn't really want to make right now, or maybe just like liked the idea of, I would add to my favorites. And then if I had the yarn for it, even if I hadn't started knitting it, I would then add the project or the pattern from my queue to my projects. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like some like kind of weird organization structure in my head. How I want to use the queue now is for patterns that I have the yarn for and I own the pattern. So my goal for today is to have my queue only be patterns that I own the pattern and I own the yarn for that pattern. It is set aside, it is organized and ready to go for that. So the first two on here meet that. I know I own both of these because it says it's in my library, and I have what I will use, which is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Tweed Worsted. That's what I want to use for it, although now I'm wondering, is that gonna be, yeah, I think that'll be fine. Okay, that's fine. The next one, Softy Sweater Swan Show. I do own it, and I do actually own the yarn that I want to use for it, which is this random cone here that I have. And I know it's in my queue, or in my stash. So, okay, great. So the first two are perfect. They are exactly how I imagine using the queue for. The next one, the Celia by Britt Marie Bremer. This pattern actually is no longer available. So I am just going to remove it from my queue because I can't even buy the pattern. So delete from queue. Okay, yes. Does that kind of make sense how I'm going about this? Is that how other people use their queues? I don't know, but that is how I want to use my queue. So I'm going to go through all of these. Anything that I don't have the pattern and the yarn for, I will either delete from the queue, or if I have yarn that I want to use but not the pattern, I will add the pattern to my wish list, which is another thing that needs to be reviewed today. So I'm gonna run through this and tidy it up. I'm not gonna yap to you about every one, but I will check back in when it is all spick and span and brand new. Finished my queue. It's not necessarily in order of when I want to knit each project, except for the first one, which is the dumpling bag. I have the yarn. I talked about this bag, I think, in my last knitting podcast, and the yarn in that one as well, and I really want to cast this on ASAP. So that one is in order, but the following 6 patterns are not in any order. There's no rhyme or reason to their placement on the queue, because they are all sweaters except for one. I have like a little triangle scarf. I'll go through them with you and show you, but they're they're not in order for now. They're all sweaters. I'm currently working on 2 sweaters. So, but anyways, I have got my dumpling bag by Pearl Soho or Jeannie Lee. This is a free pattern, so, but I am using Wool and the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton in the color Lipstick Red. The next item in my queue is the Ciro sweater by Sophia Scottford, and I plan on knitting that in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Tweed in the color Farmhouse Heather. I have a ton of this yarn. I have 2,200 yards. So if I finish this sweater, there is a cardigan that I would like to knit in any remaining yarn if I have enough. So that is on here a little further down. Next is my Softy Sweater Swan Show, which I talked about in my spring knitting pattern roundup. And I plan to use this like random cone of yarn that I have, but both of these sweaters for me would be sweatshirt replacements. I love a sweatshirt. I could live in at home and sweatshirts. I don't really wear them like outside unless I'm like quickly like running a quick errand to the corner store or something. But I love a good sweatshirt, and I'm trying to replace most of my sweatshirts with sweaters. I think they just look a bit nicer than like this. So both of these are sweatshirt replacement sweater ideas. The next pattern, actually the next 3 patterns, I do own. The kimono sweater is in my library. The boar sweater and cardigan number 9 I purchased from the designers' websites. So I have them downloaded onto my knitting pattern hard drive. But anyways, 4 and 5 are patterns where I have the same yarn for both because I have not decided which of the 2 I want to make with this yarn. So when the time comes when I'm ready to make a charcoal gray sweater, probably sometime in the fall, like October or November, I will most likely be deciding between these 2. And as I mentioned, with any leftover Knit Picks Wool of the Andes tweed, I want to make a cardigan, and that is cardigan number 9. I love this cardigan so much, and I think it would be really pretty in this like tweedy brown yarn. And lastly is another free pattern from Pearl Soho, and this is just a simple triangle bandana scarf. And I want to use my Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Pea Shoots, and that is my queue. I have 7 items on it. I feel really good with that as I start to think a bit more about my spring knits. I am shopping for yarn right now for a few projects that I'm thinking about. So as those start to come together, I think I will add them to my queue. But for now, it feels so good to start the spring season with a clean and simple queue. So very pleased about that. I do want to move on to my tools, but before that, I actually think I want to go through my cart and my wish list. I just saw that I have 35 patterns in my cart. I can definitely move things over to my wish list, and maybe keep like 3 or 4 patterns that I'm really thinking about buying in the next like few weeks. I'll keep them in there, but I want no more than 5 in my cart right now. So in my cart, what do we have? The Oba sweater by AGO Knit. I like this sweater, but I don't think I would wear it if I made it, so I will remove it. Goodbye, delete. Okay. Next, Mohair Bias Loop. I own it. I'm working on this, or I guess I was working on this, and it's currently hibernating for the fall. So goodbye, I will delete. I just reduced my shopping basket down to 3 patterns. That feels fantastic. So now I'm gonna move on to my wish list. We'll just quickly run through and make sure that everything on my wish list are still patterns that I would want to buy. And I have a feeling they will be, because I do actually go through my wish list somewhat frequently. Looking at these, I see 3 that I would remove. So the stripe hype sweater, I don't think I'm as interested in knitting this one as I was when I added it to my wish list. I think it was having such a moment maybe a year and a half ago, and I think it was just because of that. I was kind of influenced by how popular it was, how many people were knitting it, all of the variations I was seeing. But looking at it now and actually thinking about it, I don't think I would wear it if I knit it. So I will be removing that. And then the Oba sweater, as I said earlier, it was in my cart. I like the look of it, but I don't know if the chevron is for me. Something about it, I don't know. I think it's really pretty, but I'm not a chevron girl. So I think I will be deleting that one as well. And then the last one that I will be removing is this Belza cardigan. I like the look of it, but I have so many other cardigans that I'm more interested in, so I will delete that as well. But otherwise, I think the rest of these are all patterns that I absolutely would be interested in making. So I think my wish list, my cart, and my queue are all in an excellent spot right now. So that is just going to leave me with my tools. And I have a big bag of my tools here. Earlier this morning, I searched through project bags to find all of my random needles, and I think I found most of them. There might be 2 or 3 that are still kind of like floating around. So as I finish projects and finish using needles or hooks, I will be adding them to this chart. We're looking at a big mess right now. So I am just going to, I'm gonna take all of these out, pop them on the floor, and then we're just gonna get to adding and measuring. Okay, as I sit here and add these needles, I would love to know how you organize your fixed cabled needles, because right now, clearly mine are just a disaster. They're in just a giant mess in a bag, and I would really like to take care of them because they're not cheap, and they're functional. I want to be able to use them for as long as I can. So if you have any recommendations on needle storage and needle organization, I would love to know. I'd really appreciate it. For the most part, the ones that I had in that bag. There's only one little like fixed circular needle that I don't have any info on. They don't have it like written on them what size they are. So I will be, I'll have to figure that out. I think I have one of those cards where like you slide the needle through the holes and it tells you what size it is. So I need to find that. And I will do that for this one and then add it later. But I think that's all I'm going to do for now on Ravelry. I am feeling really good about what I worked on today on my Ravelry. I tidied up my queue, I cleaned up my wish list and cart, and added my tools. So I would love to know what you use Ravelry for mostly. I think the queue and the tool section are tools on Ravelry that I haven't in the past used to their fullest potential, but that is something I'd really like to work on. I really want to use the queue how I mentioned, and then continue to update my tools as I buy more needles and hooks and whatnot. And I think my stash will be a different video, probably not next week, but the following week is my best guess, because I actually think I really need to take out all of my yarn, have a good look through it, think about what I've got, and then update my stash from there. So that'll be a pretty big undertaking. But that is everything. I am very happy with the work that I did today, and I am looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.